always said that I miss old Vegas. I don't think it's ever coming back, though. Do you?
Yeah.
I don't think, our taste buds don't crave that anymore, or at least the people that come here don't. They want everything else. Now, you had mentioned something about buildings. There's an author that I made a note about, and Robert Venturi, and he wrote a book along with a bunch of other authors, but he was the primary. And it's Learning from Las Vegas, the Forgotten Symbolism of Architecture, of the Architectural Form in 1972.
Yeah.
And
it's a classic.
Yes, it is. And I was unaware of this book. The book is entirely about the architecture of Vegas and how it no longer is the form of art, but it's Las Vegas changed architecture for the better, because it's an architecture of communication. It is the first accepted architectural style that has to do with eliciting emotional response of fun and joy and happiness. Yeah, very interesting. Now, how do you know this book? I didn't know this book.
Yeah, because I came across it. Yes, I came across it in looking up books on Las Vegas.
Yes,
and even just out of my own curiosity about, and I'd seen him referenced in a documentary or something years ago. So I had looked up. I haven't read the whole book. I read parts of it. But not
these are thick books we're talking about.
Yeah,
and all over the place. Now, do you? What's your favorite casino? Still,
Bellagio.
It is still Bellagio. Caesars for me. How about you?
Well, I look at new ones and old ones. I always like the older ones, but I mean, even the Flamingo isn't what it was. Yeah. Originally back in the Desert Inn is gone. Yeah, can't pick that one anymore. So I'd have to go. Hey, the venerable old Caesars myself.
Yeah, I agree. Now, here's a question.
Get rid of the shops, but the hotel part there. Yeah,
and the cobblestones. I've rolled enough gear over the cobblestones.
They're terrible.
Oh my God!
Try walking on heels in that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's a question to you, Julia. When you walk into casinos, which it's invariably you have to, even if as residents, like you recently gambled.
Yep.
Do you even see it anymore? Do you see anything anymore when you walk in?
No.
Yeah. Do you see anything? I noticed this the other day. I walked into the Venetian to work. I had a pain in my eye as I walked in every time.
I think you still have that headache from
that.
I
still. And I walked in and I had a cart full of gear. I had my head was involved in what I was going to do. I got to the spot I was supposed to go to and realized I saw nothing.
Oh yeah, I don't either.
I couldn't say if there was any changes or anything.
Wow.
Do you go in much?
Well, no, but the last time I was in the Venetian, I had a friend visiting. He hadn't been to Las Vegas before, so we were in that area. I said, "Well, I'll show you my old haunt. You heard enough about this place, yeah?" So he could probably walk around just by my descriptions, because we were in grad school together, and we walked around. And I looked around again. And I said, "Hey, there used to be something over here, and that's gone." And it took me the longest time to realize that the theater replaced the Guggenheim. Remember, we had the Guggenheim for it wasn't it closed when I left in 2003. It was still there. So and then I came back and I knew it was gone, but I didn't realize. Oh, that's it. That's what happened to the Guggenheim. They put in the theater.
Remember the motorcycles?
The motorcycles.
Remember the motorcycle when it turned into a motorcycle museum?
Yes, that was part of the Guggenheim. Remember the art of the motorcycle?
You might have been gone.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yes, it was a Guggenheim motorcycle exhit.
Yes, they had brought in Dennis Hopper for that.
Dennis Hopper, that's right.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, and they had the my head killing me. What is the Dennis Hopper and
Easy Rider?
Easy Rider. They had the Easy Rider motorcycle with the monkey bars.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And yes, it was there, and they had Ducati, and they had
in fact, they had a motorcycle. They had a Kawasaki on display. It said it had been the fastest motorbike ever recorded, like 200 miles an hour. And it said on there it was built in Hamamatsu, Japan. And I thought, well, I've come full circle, because when I first went to Japan, I lived in Hamamatsu, which is, who's ever heard of it, right? It was Hamamatsu. Well, it's 500,000 people, which by Japanese standards is pretty small.
Yes.
But it was considered part of the Japanese Detroit, because that's where they manufactured motorcycles, Yamaha and Kawasaki. Yamaha. It was a Yamaha motorcycle. They had their headquarters in Hamamatsu, or near Hamamatsu. Yeah. And they also made pianos, so motorcycles and pianos.
That's an interesting combination.
Right.
I was flipping through TV the other night, and the movie 2012 was on.
The
They were
disaster film.
just about to
John Cusack,
destroy,
Yeah.
to destroy Las Vegas. Have you seen the destruction of Las Vegas part of that?
I have, yes.
They blow up the Venetian. I was
Yes.
like, oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I've been wanting to do that.
They love. You always see the Luxor is always there because it's so iconic as
Yes.
a pyramid, but never gets destroyed. You notice that it's always there. It's always in post-apocalyptic Luxor. So clearly go there when the zombies come. But the one they love to destroy is again New York.
Yes,
Yeah, they
do.
destroy it in New York and they destroy it here. I love that.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
going to
that.
be interesting because you can go back. I looked at go look at Hitchcock's movie The Birds, right? Made in
Oh, I like
1963.
that movie.
You know right away it's San Francisco. They show the cable car. They always do. They show a cable car. It doesn't matter. Here it is. It's 2018. You can go back and see this movie that was made 55 years ago and recognize it's San Francisco.
Yeah.
But I wonder, it's going to come to a point when they start tearing down some of these hotels again, as they're going to do it. People are going to look at it in the future, that movie 2012, and say, where is that? Because they're not going to recognize anything. That's part of the, in the blog article I mentioned that's the thing about Las Vegas is that it just doesn't go through we're going to rebrand. No. It starts from the bottom up.
Yeah.
But I do miss that the whole the lower ceiling, like the Stardust, the Riv.
Yes.
I don't know. There's just something really magical about that, having that low ceiling and the chinking sounds when you walk in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those
John
are
and I
gone.
talked about that. The sound of
sounds.
the dollar coins hitting the trays.
I love that
Yes.
sound.
Love that. Yeah, it meant good things. There
Yeah.
was nothing bad about that sound ever.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the digital sound is not as good.
No,
It's
it
just
just
a
sounds
bunch
like
of beeps.
Yeah.
It sounds like a penny arcade.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that was the other thing about Wolf's article or his essay in Candy Colored Tangerine Flake Streamline Baby
Thank you, John.
is that is about the noise level, and it's still loud and it's still bright, but it's
Yeah.
different. It's just the neon isn't there that you associate with it. You see it downtown,
Yeah.
but the
Yes.
neon of Las Vegas isn't there, and the sound it's loud. It's a different loud.
It's a din. It's a cloud of noise, and I still I think I go in the gaming places more than you guys now.
Probably.
Okay. And it is. I mean, I for what I do, I need concentration to create my art. And oftentimes I don't know what's wrong, and I realize, oh man, it's the noise.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
the snorting and coughing and dinging and dialogue from Sex and the City and Game of Thrones, and it just all just coming into my head, and I can't think about what I'm doing. But now that being said, it brings up a great scene in a movie I'm sure we've all seen. But I've not read this book, Leaving Las Vegas, John O'Brien.
I haven't.
read it.
Believe it or not, I haven't either.
No, we've seen the film, yes.
Yes. Several
Yes.
times. Yeah.
1990 was the book actually, and the film was a bit later. Now back to corruption. Do you think the three of us are still corrupted by the town? Do you think that mentally there's still something in there that the town is affecting, or have we gotten ourselves out of that? Are you out?
I'm out,
You're
and
out.
I think I'm surprised that I'm out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it took some work. I think it took work to get out.
you think so?
Yep.
And was it recent?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I'm
I
thinking
mean,
about the
recent
time.
within 10 years to me is within 10 years.
Okay, then yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How about you, John?
Well,
Were you there?
I've always been corrupted.
Yeah,
but-
John's got a whole level of corruption.
Yeah.
He's a professional.
Right, but no, I don't think so because again, I spent so little time
Yeah.
in there. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
you maybe go to a restaurant or something. You have to kind of put up with going through it. But I never would think, hey, I think I'll go down and play a couple of games. I think I'll go
Yeah.
here or there, or
Get
and the
bottle
whole-
service.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get these things. I get absolutely harassed by Groupon. They send me shit. I mean, okay, I made a mistake once. I bought something in Groupon, and now
boy.
it's like feeding a stray. It's like boom, 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 emails every 15 minutes almost. I said, no, I don't want this. I don't want a pub crawl. And I'm always like, I'm just going to, get rid of it. But I thought, well, never know. There might be another one that comes in that I would be interested in.
Yeah.
But it's always like, drink here and do this. And no. I don't want to do any of that.
No.
Yeah. Now, were you ever worried that Las Vegas was going to beat you? Was there?
No.
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 No. And again,
No, I had coaching from a friend of mine that I had met on one of my trips here, who had lived here since the 60s.
Right.
And he had asked me the whole thing, do you like to gamble? No, good. How about drinking? Well, I have a here or there. But no, it isn't anything that I'd like. Yeah, good. Because then you can move here. Because if you said yes to any of those, you don't move here. Come and visit. But it'll eat you up, and then you just swirl down like a flush toilet. You're just going to go down there. But the town has, and I think part of it, when I think about it in literature, why it's used as a backdrop, it's a magnet for certain personalities, right? I mean, we had Howard Hughes.
Yes.
Howard Hughes, I mean, when he really got crazy and eccentric, lived here, right? He lived at the Desert Inn.
Yeah.
So he was one of those. You had the mob here, which isn't a single person, but it nevertheless, it's a single entity. So, the mob was there. You had Bugsy Siegel. You had all of these larger-than-life personalities. Even Liberace, Siegfried and Roy back then. And even, I'll give him, say, Steve Wynn, too. I mean, he was probably mixed up with the mob. I think they point that out, and John Smith points that out in Running Scared.
Yeah.
He was a pretty big personality, much more so than, say, Adelson, in terms of being a personality. Bob Stupak, maybe
Big Bob.
second or third tier there. But I really don't see anybody now. We're waiting for the next savior, right, to come in here and reinvent the town again.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. The town is. We're just observing. But
one thing though that I just that did worry me for a long time, and it's the reason why I think we will never be New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. We'll just never be that, is because we don't have a diverse occupation selection for people.
Yeah.
We don't have. You can't. It's not a financial mecca for financial jobs or tech jobs or people just don't base their companies here. It's the industry of, hospitality.
Yeah.
And I was so worried for a long time. I'm like, can I do this for the rest of my life? What am I going to do?
Right.
I can't do this anymore. I hate this.
Well, most people now in their defense, UNLV does have a notable hospitality and hotel management
They
degree
do.
that you can get.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get that, get their feet wet. I mean, Las Vegas is a break-in town when it comes to hotel management, and then you go someplace where there's hotels that are a little bit more of the upper echelon. But it's good to get your feet wet because I mean, all three of us have looked at hundreds of people in line with anger in their eyes and sin in their souls, and it's a good it's trial by fire.
It is.
It's trial by fire. But so Julia's absolutely right. There's nothing that would take you beyond. We're again a facade. Back to exactly what Julia said. We're a facade, and that's all it's going to be. It serves a purpose. And I think it serves a good purpose. It's a place to let your hair down and have fun. And John doesn't drink or gamble, but apparently women and drugs. Those are for John. Yeah, sorry. But what about a person with no vice though? And that's where the family thing came in. I don't like to gamble. I don't drink. I don't do any of that other stuff. So what is there for me? And they tried to infuse, bring in their kids. Well, I don't have any kids. So what else now? And now they're getting rid of shows. The shows are actually there's no more lost leaders. You might be able to eke out a buffet.
Yeah.
The shows are all Cirque or nothing, pretty much. I mean, and the little bitty ones over at Planet Hollywood, which are great shows. But I don't know. I'm very interested in what Julia said about what's coming next. Who and John, what is the savior? Because Steve's gone. With him leaving, that's a very interesting transition.
Yes.
Because now we're rudderless.
Yeah. We have a vacuum that needs to be filled.
We do.
Yeah. Now, the next book I found, it's called The Delivery Man of 2008 by John McGinnis. And it's about sort of us in a way, but it's about the Gen Y suburbanites that are coming in. And the thing is, he thinks it's going to completely remove the counterculture that Vegas has established, and reinvent itself into a New York, into a respected level of establishment. And I just absolutely disagree. Absolutely disagree, because volume will never go away. Steve built this town, rebuilt it after Bugsy for volume, not quality.
Yeah.
And I don't think Gen Y is there's not enough Gen Y wires
Yeah.
to be out there.
You know, you're talking about working at the hotel, and yeah, you get your feet wet. I mean, I've had to travel, and of course, the hotels that I tend to have to travel to stay in are much smaller. Even in big cities, they're much smaller than what we dealt with. Right. And I look at it sometimes at the desk. I say, these people don't know how to handle a queue. They get 6 people in line and they're starting to panic.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I thought, well, this is nothing. I could blow through this myself in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But, you know, because you just have to know how to manage the queue.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Monterey, there was a job, you know, we're still looking in the newspapers, for a concierge at Pebble Beach. Well, I wasn't really interested in it, but I was curious how much pull or how impressive my experience in Las Vegas would be at a place that I would consider to be one of the upper echelon, right? Pebble Beach. You don't have a lot of people staying there coming through. So I went and I interviewed there, and they were really like, "Wow, you worked in Las Vegas?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, kind of remember it's a 5-star hotel where we all wear paper hats, basically. You know?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's that you know, it's Chuck E. Cheese kind of. There's just that it's all fake.
Yeah, and
the
robotic rats are upstairs. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And I told the first time I think it was on the podcast a story about when Charo came and sat on my lap that time, and I thought, you know, later on I started thinking about it, and Charo really is Las Vegas, or she was, because of the fact that she looks pretty good from a distance. But when you get up close, you realize that this is all going to fall down, and you just all you have to do is a gust of wind coming through
tape
the door.
and glue.
That's right.
Was it the college 20-foot rule? Is that the 20-foot rule?
Yeah.
Now there's the two final books I found are both of the same. One was 1983, The Desert Rose by Larry McMurtry.
Larry McMurtry. I have a copy of that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And Beautiful Children in 2008, which is interesting, the same year as The Delivery Man. And they both deal with a version of being corrupted by the town. Desert Rose is about a
showgirl?
An aging showgirl.
Yes.
Beautiful Children is about the community that is Las Vegas. That is the community that never leaves, and they were immediately corrupted and therefore can't leave. It's an artful look at the current generations here in Las Vegas. But do you think you are forever changed by this town?
Yes.
You are. Good or bad?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. How about you?
Yeah, I think every place I've lived has had some kind of influence, or made me look at things in a different perspective. Right. It seems I've always lived in a tourist town of some kind, like I said, San Francisco, Las Vegas, even Tokyo, where people visit. Monterey, Washington, it wasn't, but yeah, I mean, every place I've lived has said some kind of pull.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but since working at the Venetian and having that job for as long as we all did, one effect it did have on me is I avoid crowds. I avoid crowded places. I just, it soured me a little bit to the public, to people. And I don't think I was like that before I worked in the industry as long as I did.
No, Julia, I've known you for quite a while, and I've always found you you'll laugh at this, but I've always found that your personality comes out, and I think it's quite sweet. Mm-hmm. And I think it probably was changed. Now, John and I think John's got a few years on me, but I think I already brought a healthy distaste for the public to there, and it was heightened. I mean, I realized
Definitely.
I was like already, there's a bunch of idiots. I mean, you find them in the grocery lines.
Yeah.
And there's this everyday version of hating people. And you can get on me if you want, all the listeners, but come on, everybody hates that. But when I got here, it was intensified.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't stand them. And it leaked into the people I was working with. Rightly so sometimes. But, oh God, you're right. I would, and that was bad. I have to say it was bad. I glared at them because I knew they were going to just drone on about something. And I recently watched, I'm watching right now, a Netflix original called The Chef's Table. And it's a documentary series about all these top 50 restaurants and the chefs involved. And there was one chef from Patagonia. Very interesting man. I won't bore you with his background, but he said something that warmed my heart, and I feel that. And he said, "I have no more time for those I do not enjoy." Mm-hmm. And I knew we were going to talk today, and I knew we were going to talk about the Venetian, and I thought, how perfect. I really don't. As I reach 50, and John reaches some other age, a little older.
Yes.
And Julia's forever 28.
Yeah. My birthday is next week.
Yes,
I know. Your birthday and my sister is the same day.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Her 39th year.
Yeah, right.
No, but I have no more time for those I do not enjoy. And I thought, wow.
It's a good one.
I haven't paused in a long time from a statement from another human being.
That is so true.
That is wonderful. And, people probably think less of me that are listening, but that's absolutely true. I'm 50 years old. I don't have much more time to give, and present company excluded. Stop taking my time.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy you.
Yeah.
I don't, like Jehovah's Witness and all these other, they're on my street today. It kills me. There were 4 groups, the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witness and Seventh-day Adventists, and they're all just wandering in my neighborhood. And I don't have time for you.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's what we got to at the Venetian. And we got to it for Vegas. And that's why we're so thrilled to be out of the bubble.
Very thrilled.
But are we glad the bubble's still here? Are we glad we're near the
I
bubble?
think
Yes.
I mean, I work out of town. I mean, basically, my office is in San Francisco, so I telecommute. So, I mean, it could blow up, and it wouldn't affect me directly.
Right.
But yeah, I hope it does well because, again,
Me
of
too.
everybody else who lives here,
Yeah.
and maybe give me a reason to go back, because I'll go to a concert or something that's a T-Mobile or MGM Grand, but or the Hard Rock. I really don't want to. I mean, go there. I want to see the show, but and it's a one-off. It's go there because they're here for tonight, and then
But you know what it is too? It's like I always wondered, did it sour me so much that I just don't like people? But then I'll take a walk. I love to walk, especially when the weather warms up, if it would just do that. I love to take walks, and you walk and you say hi to people, and I'm like, oh, I really do enjoy people. I do. But in that setting, it was people who were on vacation, supposed to be having fun, who were angry.
Yes.
And I never understood it. Why are you so angry? You're not at work. You're having fun. You've got a drink in your hand. Relax. Have
And they were angry
fun.
when they got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know traveling sucks. I
It
mean,
does.
I travel a great deal, and internationally as well as domestically, and it blows. I mean, there's just some bad things, and security makes that a problem. But you're right. They were angry, and it wasn't our jobs to bring them back, from that pit. First thing we had to do was make them not angry and then help them. And after a while, I just don't care that you're angry. I mean, you should have done this instead.
And I wondered if it's like at Christmas time. You ever notice how much bratty your kids are at Christmas? You go to the store and they're crying, I want that. It's like, shut this goddamn kid up. It's like they're overstimulated.
Yeah.
And maybe it is that we're so used to that when we worked in the hotels. People come here and the noise and the lights and everything, and their reaction is rather childish, but nevertheless, it's a human reaction of I'm not in control here, and I'm going to throw a tantrum.
Right.
But the one thing I will say,
That translates to an adult as well.
Yeah, right.
Assholes.
That's right. That the experience, and I say that to me, it wasn't time loss. Like, oh my God, I spent 3 years in this
Right.
pit. And this purgatory, and it was just a waste of time. Because I remember, I was working for McGraw-Hill Education, and I had to go to they were having a training for district people in the school district on training them how to use the new test that they were coming out with. And this woman came up to me in the morning. She says, "Are you with McGraw-Hill?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm here to ruin your day." And I thought, just try me, bitch. Too late.
Yeah.
Too late. What is it? And she went ahead and she spieled about yak, which didn't have anything to do with me. Right. But how often did I put up with it? And I said, oh, okay, yeah, I see that, very calmly. And I said, that woman over there, you'll need to speak with her. I walked over there and I explained it to her. And then afterwards, my colleague, who then was the recipient of the next load of crap in her lap, he goes, how could you have stayed? You handled it. I said, I dealt with a hell of a lot.
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
Try that times by 100.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
It's,
My worst was 9/11. I think I might have told this story already, but I'll just be super brief.
Go ahead.
It was 9/11, and I had to work at 3:00 that day. I had spent the entire morning crying, and everyone was teary-eyed and crying. And I remember Wayne was there and Marta was there, and this guy at the desk was just yelling at me that he couldn't get into Delmonico. And I just said, Really?
Yeah. No, you didn't say that.
Really? My gosh, really? I was just absolutely blown away. I'm like, the biggest tragedy our country has ever faced, and you are upset about your reservation. How is that possible? It's that I just it just soured me.
And I have a terrible I have a terrible view of this current walkouts with the children. I just they're little people, and they're going to grow up to big people. And I just feel that there's an ulterior motive there. People don't recognize it, but it's I don't know. But I wanted to ask you guys something while I had you both in the studio. When you were hired at the Venetian, I'll ask Julia first. I was part of the last hiring round. And if anybody, one thing people don't know about working in Las Vegas, it's not easy getting a job because you have to find the right place to go. You have to now check the internet to make sure what jobs are available. You have to go then and have that job code and go to their human resources department and fill out all the applications. Then once that application is received, you have to wait to hear if anybody received that application that gave a shit about what's going on. And it's easier to get in the military. And I had three separate physical auditions to get my job.
I had one audition, physical audition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I had three. I had to, and it was this sort of weird pantomime. I had to get up and they faked a guest and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm 30 years old and I'm sort of an old soul anyway. And I was just like, really? You're going to make me, okay. And I had to act my way through three separate times.
Yeah, they had two people from HR and I knew they were going to be good cop, bad cop. I knew that right away. And they said, well, tell us about the shows you have here. I got to make this up. Right. I said, well, we have a rodeo is what we have. It's great rodeo. And, you really like it and this and that. And then they had the other one was complaining and I'll get the manager right on the, so I'm faking a phone call, but I'd been a teacher. So I was used to that sort of thing. And then we had the group interview. Remember, did you have that?
Yes.
Where
I
you
had that a long while.
And
I didn't have any of
I did
this.
the same thing in class. You have this first day of class, you got all these people, they don't know each other. And it's communication class, so you have things and I already know this information. I would gather it from their student data. Find somebody whose birthday's in February, and maybe I only have one student or two. Make sure there is one. Right. Find somebody who does this or that, and then they'd have to ask you, were you born in February? And Julia would say, no, I was born in March. So I'd have to go ask somebody else, and finally you find out who it is. You write their name on the line. So and let's see if you can get them all.
Yeah, I mean, I spent. Oh, it had to be 3 weeks. Once I started all the auditions in the group and all the other crap, 3 weeks just to get this job. And I totally thought there's just no way because I've spent my life having to dumb myself down. This is gonna sound so erudite, but whatever. The group interview was first, and then the auditions, and I was like, oh man, I was like, what am I gonna do? Finally, I said, oh screw it, I'm just gonna be me. And luckily, I got the job. It was, and I do consider it fortunate. But I don't even remember the faces of the people. There were 25 people in this group in a circle. Yeah, and everybody knows how I feel about group dynamics. It's useless.
Yeah, I remember afterwards looking around and seeing how many of those people do I actually see working here, and I don't think I saw anybody. And there might have been a couple. I mean, it's a big place. But.
Yeah, and then fast forward, and John and I are behind the sandbags and with a pen and a non-working computer waiting for the doors to open.
Yeah, yep. And 12 weeks of training and it was all bullshit because I looked at it and said, this isn't what we're faced with.
Yeah, we had an encyclopedic knowledge of the hotel, none of which were open or available.
It was nothing.
And nobody ever asked us those questions anyway. And other things and then things that they wanted to know we just took for granted, like when will the toilets flush?
Yes, when those toilets.
Yeah, and it's one of these things that sometimes it happens when a store or company when they get too big, and then they don't communicate. One department doesn't communicate with the other one, and it's just mayhem. And that's what we have because we had the casino, we also had conventions that wouldn't tell us where they moved the meeting rooms. So we're down there with this piece of paper telling people, and they're coming out and they're yelling at me for something else that, well, I'm sorry, they told us this is where it was at, and now they moved it.
And remember the glee that you had when you found it. You're
the worst thing were the weddings.
It's D.
Yeah. Hi, we're here for the small hovercraft wedding. Oh,
Crap.
good for you.
I would always be like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you call the operator. They don't know.
They don't know anything.
But it did give us the opportunity to leave the area. You know, we were fortunate. We were able to leave the area. I always our front desk, which is much like the front desk of most hotels, but it was inordinately big. It was long.
Yeah, it was.
And there was all these little. It was like 8 girls, 1 guy, 9 girls, 1 guy. It was a very female-oriented system. And when we opened, I'll never forget this. If you've ever seen a herd of cows, and a human walks up, and they raise their heads up, and they look at you like they've never seen anything of your like. They've never seen what you are, who you are. There's no fear. It's just they have nothing there. They've looked up and they've acknowledged you, and then they look down. And that was the front desk on opening day. It was just nothing. They were like, we're not ready. We are not ready for what's about to happen. And then, of course, the certificate of occupancy didn't come through, and Sophia Loren went back to Treasure Island, and it was a disastrous time, but it was a lot of fun, and I really do. I've made mention of this before, and I love you guys, and I think it's I have very few friends. As one could tell by what by talking on the podcast, and you guys are mine, and I made it in that environment. John always referred to it as Stockholm syndrome.
Yes,
exactly. when you're imprisoned and you make friends with whoever you can.
Yep.
and we did, and it was a horrifying experience. It was a professionally trying experience, but I think we're all better people. I don't think we're corrupt.
No, not from the job. Definitely.
No, and I learned to wall things in. There was a time I remember it was 4th of July, and where can I see fireworks? Look up in the sky. That's where they're going to be. What
do you mean?
Yeah. When it gets dark, it'll be 9 o'clock. That's what it says. It's 9 o'clock. And getting so frustrated, I walked in the back and I just started kicking the wall. If you remember, for a while, we had one of those blow up toys. You hit on it, like kids have, is weighted at the bottom, and it rocks back and forth. And that thing lasted about a week before, and I know it was a woman hit it because she had a ring on, and that's what punctured his face. You can see the cut.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
So there were times where I remember a guy came to the desk, and this guy had the world's worst comb over. It looked really, really ridiculous. He combed his hair from like behind his ear.
All the way to the other ear?
All the way to the other ear.
The one hair?
Yes. And, the Japanese call that the barcodo, because it looks like a barcode on the back of a magazine, right? That's what they call a comb over. They call it a barcode. And this guy, and it's one of those things where you try not to look at it.
You just can't.
Yeah, you can't. So I'm there just talking to the guy, making sure I'm looking at him right in the eye, so my eyes don't drift up to that awful hairline he has. So I said, okay, I can do that for you. So I said, your name, sir? And he looks at me, and I could tell there was a flicker there of like saying, if you so much as snicker, I'm going to know it, asshole. And he looked at me and he said, Balderrama. Balderrama, really? And I almost said, because I could be kind of flippant at the desk when I was there.
No.
Oh, like Elvis-orama? But I thought, no. He's going to know. So I said, okay. So I looked down at the printer we had there, and I said, oh, we're out of paper. I got to print something in the back. And I went back there, and then I lost it. I was on my, somebody was on the phone. What's so funny? I said, oh, Jesus, the guy out there. Go look at him. Yeah. His name is Balderrama. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're laughing. Okay. I got to compose myself. Okay, I can do it. And then go out there. Oh, yeah, here you go. And I gave him the paper because, again, I could do that switch. But it was like that rumble. I experienced that in Tokyo with earthquakes. There's that rumble going on. You don't know, when is it going to stop? And I can feel the giggles or whatever coming up there, and they're rising. And then you realize, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to hold it down. I got to run in the back.
Yeah. Luckily, we had a lot of stuff under the desk. We could pretend to get those.
Yes. Times we squatted down and yeah.
See, we did have some good times.
Yes, we did.
But guys, thank you for being here. Listeners, thank you for tuning into the Pod Bay Door. We love talking about our past and our present and our future. Do check into the blog. It's thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com. John's article is going to post on this following Wednesday, and it's going to be a lot of interesting information, especially the books that we've discussed. And you can also find us at thepodbaydoor.com. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like, we're still doing the T-shirt and mousepad thing, so I have quite a few of those left if you'd like. And it's thepodbaydoorlv@gmail.com. Just send me a review and a screenshot of that, or if you have any questions, just send those as well. But John is going to return with me next week. Julia, you can find all of her information on Amazon first. All of her books are currently there, not including the one that's coming out, Carved in Stone. But look up Julia Shoup, that's S-U-P-E, on Amazon, and all of her current books are there. And gotten great reviews, and they are fantastic. Carved in Stone is going to be out what time? When?
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
I believe. Perhaps sooner, but... yeah, 5 weeks.
I know that Julia's in the middle, or will have just, when this comes out, she will have just chosen her cover. She's very excited about that. I think I've seen what might be the cover. But Carved in Stone, a Vanessa Stone thriller. And again, juliashoup.com, or everything on Amazon, and you can find her there. But thanks, guys, and we will see you next week. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Podbay Door on the Podbean app, or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Podbay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Podbay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.